Hey guys, this is day 15 of Road to 10k. The last 2 days have sucked, I'll be real. They've like actually sucked cheeks, like really, really bad. I mean, yesterday I didn't do anything, then the day before that I just went over notes, but yeah, week 3 has been it's not been a great start, but it's time to bounce back, okay? I won't bother going over notes from week 2 or anything. We've done that. There's nothing to do, but let's just get into it. This is the start of 1.4 niche, grade A niche selection, okay? Like the very start, I haven't watched any of it, so let's get it.
Hey everyone, Charlie Morgan here, and welcome to Grade A Niche Selection. So what we're going to be doing in this video is picking a niche and defining the best niche.
I feel a bit better to live it, by the way. I don't know if I'm coming down with a cold, and that's why I'm kind of getting a little fucked up, like my head's all over the place, but hey, I feel ever so slightly better. Just, yeah.
For you, and I'm going to help you basically pick a niche. Now, you might already have an idea as to what niche you want to go into. Maybe you've got a bias towards a specific group of people. Maybe you want to start a certain type of business and you already know what you want. Or maybe you don't know anything at all. Maybe you have no bias and you really don't know what niche you should pick or what would be good for you, what would be bad for you. Both are fine. I'm going to show you in this video what makes a good niche, how to actually pick one, how to pick one that's right for you, how to make sure that it's one that you're going to stick to, and how to actually just like solve this first problem. What we're going to be doing in this video is really, we're putting rubber to road for the first time. We're actually going to be taking some action, and this is the first step to laying these very, very critical foundations to the to your future success. So let's get into it. So first of all, we're going to define why you should actually niche down in the first place, because some of you might be thinking, well, what's the point in that? Which should be a fair thing to think. Then we're going to be talking about niche selection mistakes and what to avoid. We're going to talk about booming niches, picking your niche, the best and worst niche. So I'm going to straight up tell you, which niche is best and which niche is worst. And then the niche selection process and also picking and sticking. So it's important that you've watched the previous 2 videos or the introduction video as well. Elucidatory axiom, 6-figure fusion. Please make sure you've watched them before this video. Don't just try and skip them because they're long, okay? Very important that you've done that first, but I'm assuming you have.
I think 6-figure fusion has been the longest one yet. Oh wait, no. Flipping 1.2 was. 1.2 is fucking long, bro.
So let's just get straight into it, shall we? So here we've got the Grade A Niche Selection resource, which will be available in the resources section.
Yeah, okay. That's just the PDF that he's going to go
below
through today. Shit.
How to make sure. So here we've got the Grade A Niche Selection resource, which will be available in the resources section below. So there's going to be quite a few PDFs or Google Docs that you can use to select your niche that I'm going to give you. And if you want to have access to them, then you can see them in the resources section of this video. Okay. So welcome to Grade A Niche Selection. Here we're going to cover the importance of having a niche, and I'm going to give you a complete A to Z process on what you need to know and how to basically pick one. We're also going to discuss the best niche and the worst niche to pick, and I'm going to give you some guidance on that as well. So first of all, why pick a niche? You might be thinking, Charlie, like, what's the point in having a niche? Surely it just makes sense for me to, just target everyone and anyone, and surely I'm going to have more success, like the wider my net is cast. Well, the truth is that nothing could really be further from the truth. Because I know people say this all the time when they're starting businesses, right? Surely it's better to target everyone. Surely if I pick multiple niches, I'll make more money. Surely targeting less people leads to less money and customers. And surely if I pick 2 niches, I'll make double the progress. You might be asking yourself these questions, and that's fair enough. A lot of people who, are just starting out, they have these sort of questions. Like, surely it makes sense. Like, if I want more money, like, surely I should have more markets. But honestly, these questions, I promise you, are wrong on every single account. They are totally wrong. So throw these questions away and get rid of this method of thinking. I know it seems counterintuitive to the average, civilian or, average human that, less is more, but trust me, it really is. Now, if you remove the context of business, then this starts to make sense. Because let me ask you this. like who makes more money, a brain surgeon or a general practitioner doctor? So, if you think a brain surgeon, like this person's going to be making like multi six figures, working on like very specific cases. But a GP, a general practitioner, they might be making like 50K a year, or I don't know how much they make actually, like 80K a year. Still a good amount of money, but the brain surgeon's going to run rings around them financially and in terms of probably enjoyment of work and all this stuff as well. And who wins more medals? Athletes with one sport or athletes with two sports? Like imagine if Michael Phelps did swimming, but he was also trying to do the 100 meters. He wouldn't win either of them, right? It's focus that matters. And who survives in nature? A species that occupies one specific niche or multiple. Like if you're a bird, for example, and your beak is adapted to eat food on two different types of islands, that might sound like a good thing, but you're going to get outcompeted on each island by birds that have specific beaks to that island, if that makes sense. And there's a whole biological reason behind this. But if you're wondering where the word niche actually comes from, or niche, it comes from biology. It comes from an observation in nature that Darwin and other naturalists have made that states that organisms are adapted to their specific niche. They have a role or a functional role to play, which is the biological term, inside of an environment. And so if all of the species that have ever evolved have been adapted to exist in a specific niche, or at least 99.999% of them, then it kind of makes sense that we should follow that pattern of nature into our business. And, which musicians make the best music? Those with one genre or those with two plus? So, if you're like a heavy metal band and you're making heavy metal music, but you're also trying to make drum and bass, then you're going to make like crappy heavy metal and crappy drum and bass. Like you just are. You're not going to make like good music in both genres. Like it's focus. And who sells more books on Roman history? A Roman historian whose sole job is just to talk about Roman history, or a general historian? Like who's going to sell more Roman history books? Someone who's spent their entire life studying just one era of classical antiquity, or someone who's studied every little thing about history, And who would you bet on in a boxing match? So if there was a boxing match, like a fight, and it was explicitly just boxing, who would you bet on? A professional boxer who just boxes, or a pro MMA fighter who's trained all these martial arts? And I'm not saying that MMA is less effective than boxing. I'm just saying in a boxing match specifically, who you got? And who catches the rabbit? He who chases one or he who chases two? So this is a very famous, you could call it an axiom, it's more of a cliche, but the man who chases two rabbits catches none. And what that basically means is like, well, actually think about that for a second, right? Imagine you're in a field trying to catch rabbits. Like, you can't chase two. It's impossible. There's only one of you. So this is the same thing with the niche thing. And who would you rather help with your knee pain? So let's say that you've really ruined your knee and you've broken your knee in an accident. Who would you rather go to? A knee specialist or a leg specialist? Now, you'd rather go to a leg specialist than a general practitioner doctor, but you'd rather go to a knee specialist than a leg specialist. Like the more specific the niche and the more dialed in this thing is, the better off you're going to be. And who does the government call to fix, big military-based problems? Do they call Navy SEALs or soldiers? Do they call people that have been trained to do one specific type of, mission, or, soldiers who are trained to fight anywhere? And who would you rather perform your brain surgery? A brain surgeon or a general surgeon? And where would you get a better steak? A steakhouse or a general restaurant? Why is this the case? Why would we rather pick a specialist instead of a generalist? Well, it's because someone with focus will
My bad. I just sneezed.
always beat someone without it. So when I tell you to pick a niche in business, some people will, or when I tell a group of people like you guys, like a lot of people are like, oh, I don't need a niche. I'm just going to target everyone. Well, like just take the concept, just remove the idea of business and look anywhere in the world. The best people who have done anything, the greatest surgeons, the greatest athletes, the greatest historians, the greatest musicians, the greatest like military people, like they just do one thing.
I really want to ask Charlie a question. Like, what's the quote? It goes like, a jack of all trades is a master of none, yet still better than a master of one, or something like that. I don't know. Is it better to be a jack of all, or is it better to be a master of one?
You know, it's kind of like the reason why McDonald's has started to fall apart, you know, in recent history, in terms of economic history. Like, you know, you've got restaurant chains popping up like Five Guys and other like burger places that literally just sell one burger. But like McDonald's has got this like massive menu now, like that, you know, is got like 50 items on it. And then you've got these other burger places popping up, like these burgers. And all they do is they just sell one burger, and they've got very good at just making one burger. And because they only have one thing, they're way better at that thing than McDonald's, which now has like 30 things. And so like those restaurants can charge more for that specific burger. People want to keep coming back, and it's just focus, you know. And McDonald's, they're having rings run around them at the moment financially, you know, with these like small little burger restaurants popping up, these chains. So I know what you might be thinking, you know, like you're going to be looking for exceptions to this rule. A lot of people say this, like, but Amazon sells everything. Amazon is the biggest business in the world, and they don't have a niche. Well, Amazon just started with books. So the thing about having a niche is you're not going to be married to this thing for the next 85 years, or, you know, hopefully you have 85 years left on this planet, but you're not going to be married to this thing forever, you know. Like when Jeff Bezos started Amazon, it literally was just an e-commerce store for books. That was their niche. We sell books. And over time, they started adding more and more things until, you know, obviously some emergence happens and we've got this massive conglomerate, $1 trillion probably empire. Same thing, Facebook. But Facebook serves every niche. Facebook is a product or platform that everyone uses. There's no niche on Facebook. Well, Facebook started with Ivy League college students. Like they started literally just in Harvard. It doesn't get much more niche than that. Like all of these massive companies that you see and observe, all of them, they all started with serving one type of person. Tesla is another example. So when Tesla was created, Tesla basically started with just the Roadster. It was literally just one sort of like supercar build for very rich people in Hollywood, pretty much in LA. And now, you know, they've branched out where they've got like multiple models and all sorts of stuff. And so you can find lots of examples of these massive businesses that don't have niches, but nearly all of them started out with one specific functional role or one niche, and they branched from there. And then you might say, well, Kanye West does more than rapping. You know, Kanye West, he now does like fashion design, and he's also like a public figure, and he's doing this. I don't really know what he does, to be honest. I'm not really paying attention to him, but you know, I know a lot of people like Kanye, and they see him and they see all of the stuff he does, and it's like, but he does more than one thing. Well, he started just rapping. Like he started out with one thing and then, you know, branched out into more. And then like, this is the big one. People are like, but Elon Musk has multiple businesses and like Elon Musk has multiple niches. Are you Elon Musk? You know, like, I mean, I can't figure out how to do that thing, you know. Like we are just trying to build one business with one product and just get that thing to six figures. Let's not concern ourselves with what the richest man in the world is doing, because the chances are is we're not that guy, you know. Like there's this belief system that is very prevalent in this market that says that the average millionaire has 7 income streams. It's just not true. Like I know hundreds of millionaires that most of them are my friends. I'm a millionaire myself. Like we don't have 7 income streams. We have like one business with one niche, with one product that solves one problem. Sure, eventually maybe you go on to buy property and other investments and, you know, some more passive income stuff, and you've got bonds and like, yeah, it's never binarily one, but you need to get rid of this idea in your head that you need multiple businesses or multiple niches, because trust me, less is more. And then it's the same thing with like Mr. Beast. Like, oh, but Mr. Beast's like, you know, he sells chocolate that has no niche, and it's like he makes YouTube videos and there's no niche. It's like, well, are you Mr. Beast? And do you want to be famous? Do you want to build a YouTube channel, or do you want to build a consulting business, you know, solve a problem and make a lot of money? So, you know, there's obviously exceptions to this rule, but they're so far and few between that you can't really base your actions and rationale on them, because they're so rare. And then, you know, one thing you could say is, but cockroaches survive in all niches. You know, there's only really 2 species or organisms on this planet that can survive in nearly any niche, and that is a cockroach and us. And I mean, there's hundreds of thousands, I mean millions of species, right? And only 2 of them can survive everywhere. Like, So maybe we shouldn't look at the exceptions. And also, like, you know, cockroaches survive in all niches. Do you want to be one of those? I'm just kidding. But, you know, there's always going to be exceptions, but they're going to be so rare that it doesn't make sense for you to base the entirety of your foundational structure upon them. It's not a very good thing to do, okay? So let me drill this point home and give you some visuals. So what we can see here is a couple of visuals of what one niche looks like, what two niches looks like, and what three niches looks like, okay? So this represents entrepreneur one, this diagram you can see here, okay? Now entrepreneur one is smart, and they pick one niche and one problem within that niche to solve. Therefore, entrepreneur one puts all of his or her time and energy into this one thing, and this is basically called focus. If you're wondering what focus is, it's just basically, you know, concentrating your time and energy, as in like your hours and your calorific potential, into something specific consistently for a long time. And because of this, entrepreneur one becomes a complete expert. They get better results. They understand the market better. They find sales calls easier. They find appointment booking easier. They make better content. And overall, they just are more successful because, you know, they've been focused. And so this is what this looks like, you know. If this circle here represents an entrepreneur, well, that entrepreneur every day or every month has, let's say, 100 units of energy and time. And this arrow denotes the amount of progress they make in a direction. And so if they only have one direction to go in, then they can go very, very far in that direction. If they put all of their energy and time into one direction, they're going to go very far. And what this allows them to do is basically make 100 units of progress in terms of their expertise, their results, their market understanding, how good they are at selling to these people, booking appointments. Like every single component and facet of your business is significantly easier and more straightforward when you only have one variable surrounding it. And so think about this for a second. Let's say that you have three niches. Well, now you've got three businesses, which is not a good thing. That might sound like, yeah, I've got three businesses, but trust me, I know people that have three businesses and they do not make anywhere near as much money as people that just have one on average, typically, okay? Oh, but Jeff Bezos and Elon Musk have all... You're not Jeff, you're not Elon, right? We're just trying to figure out how to make 10 damn K a month, and you can't even do that with one business, so who are you to think you can do it with three? I mean, you know, I don't want to be harsh, but you need to consider this, right? And so here we have entrepreneur two. Now, this is a problem, and you should be able to start to understand why. Entrepreneur two didn't have the humility to listen, because this is what happens, right? People, I can guarantee it, you're probably not going to do this, but there are going to be people that go through this program and don't have the humility to listen. And this is what happens. Entrepreneur two didn't have the humility to listen and assumed they knew more than nature itself, every expert in this space, and a guy that's made $25 million helping more than 2,500 people do this. So I'm not here to toot my own horn and, you know, tell you that I am a complete, total, be-all, end-all source of truth in the world. That's not my point. But what I'm saying here is I've done this for 7 years. I've made $25 million. I've helped more than 2,500 people do this, and they've paid me tens of thousands of dollars, you know, to help them grow and scale. And every single time that someone has tried to have multiple niches, it doesn't work. So please, like, don't let your preconceptions or bias or ego interfere with this piece of information, because I cannot tell you how many people have tried it and like, oh, I'm just going to do two niches. And then like they come to me like, oh, Charlie, my business isn't working. I'm like, well, what niche are you in? They're like, oh, I'm in real estate and like plumbing. It's like, well, you're just an idiot. Like you didn't listen. They're like, yeah, I know, but I just thought it would be better. It's like, you don't know better than someone that's been doing it for 7 years. And more importantly, I still humble myself before this, you don't know better than nature itself. like a business is like a living organism, and living organisms need niches to survive, and otherwise they have no role. So by picking two niches, entrepreneur two has made the fatal mistake of splitting his or her focus. And this means they suffer from a lack of expertise and focus in two places. So what we can see here is entrepreneur one, they make a lot of progress in this direction because they only have one direction. But the second you have two directions or two things to do, you still make progress in these directions, but just significantly less in each one. And they make 40% of progress in this direction, in niche one, and then maybe 60% of the progress in niche two, at least compared to what they could have done if they just had one thing. And I don't know about you, but I'd rather make I'd rather make like 100 kilometers of progress in one direction, in one goal. Like, I'd rather my expertise to be extremely deep and to be really, really competitive on one thing than to kind of be all right at two. Like, I'd rather be great at one thing than just good at two things. Because the difference between good and great is so exponential you cannot even comprehend it. So if Entrepreneur 2 went to the Olympics, they'd probably try and pick pole vault and the 100 meter dash, and they'd come last both times. So my point here is you only have so much energy and time. And when you split your focus between two niches or two things, like that energy and time it's going to two different places. And because of the way exponents work and the way focus works, it acts as a force multiplier. The more you split that thing up, the less effect it has on the things you're working on. So you can still, make some progress here, but it's way easier to pick one thing. Like, people think that by picking two niches, that they're hedging. Like, if I pick two, I have double the chances of success. It's like, no, you really don't. It would be like going to the Olympics and being like, okay, well, if I practice boxing and I also practice shot put, then I have double the chances of winning because I've got two sports. It's like, no, mate, you've got double the chances of losing because you split your focus between two sports. How are you possibly going to compete with someone in shot put or, javelin throw if all they've done is javelin throw and half of what you've done is javelin throw? You have to understand that. Like, go to the Olympics, pick two sports. In each category, you're up against, 7 or 8 other people who have just done that sport. And just because you've done two, like, you're half as good as all of them, even though you've got two. Like, it doesn't make any sense. And the same thing is true with picking a niche. And, Entrepreneur 3, I mean, they've just lost the plot. Like, if you've got 3 niches or you're a generalist, like, you're just totally fucked. You really are. Like, this is the same thing with like marketing agencies that don't have a niche. It's like, now every single customer requires a different sales process, a different appointment booking process. You cannot make content because, you can't talk to people specifically or target them. Like, having a generalist agency or a generalist consulting business is similar to like having a massive crowd of people and then being like, hey everyone, like imagine like a loud crowd where nobody can really kind of hear you, which is what business is. And like you're in a crowd like an airport and it's really busy and you're kind of trying to get everyone's attention. You're shouting like, hey everyone over here, everyone look. Like you're probably not going to, because you're just calling out everyone, no one's going to look. People are going to be like, what the hell is wrong with that guy? Like, I don't associate with him, whatever. But then imagine that, you shouted like, hey Jennifer, like, suddenly everyone called Jennifer is going to look because you've targeted them, you've called them out specifically. And the same thing is true with having a niche. And if you have a generalist business, like you can't make content that compels. You just can't do it. It's like, how, like with the difference in a YouTube video between how to get leads for a business, like imagine a YouTube title. Imagine you've got 2 YouTube titles. How to get leads for your business in 2024 or how to get leads for your gym business in 2024. Like, which one do you think is going to get more views? Well, you might say, but the other one's got a broader audience, but that's the problem. Like, the broader the audience, the harder it is for you to actually get their attention.
Do you think that applies to, like, everything ever in life, then? Like, it's actually just, like, if your sole goal is to make money, like, it is honestly just better to become, like, an expert, a master at one specific thing, and then kind of forget about everything. Because like my dad's a plumber, right? And I work for him. I go to work with him and whatever. And I plumb, but I also I do other stuff. Like I do painting, I do all sorts of like different weird task things that he asked me to do. But I don't know, when does it get to a point where like you start to branch out, like, yeah, maybe my dad becomes a master in plumbing or something, or whatever. I mean, the best plumber out there. But like I feel like there's a point where you go like, yeah, let's start now learning this. Like, I don't know. I should probably leave my opinion out of this, to be fair, because this is Charlie Morgan. We're trying to not argue with, but and not criticize, but like,
Because you can't call them out specifically.
I'll just do what Charlie says, okay? See where it takes me.
And so you need where you can to be specific and not general. So you've got to pick one. If you have two or multiple niches, you're always going to be up against other people who are niche down to one. And you will get absolutely steamrolled every single time. So say, for example, you pick the real estate niche and the gym niche. And I'm just using some top of mind examples. I'm not recommending these niches. I'm not telling you to not do them. I'm just examples, right? So let's say that you pick the real estate niche and the gym niche. Well, now you're going to get absolutely steamrolled on the real estate front by people who just work with real estate. And you're going to get absolutely steamrolled on the gym front by people who just work with gyms. It really is like going to the Olympics, picking two sports and expecting to have double the chances of winning because you have two sports. Like when you think about it like that, it makes a ton of sense. Because like, I'm in the Olympics, I'm doing ping pong and I'm also doing trampolining. It's like, okay, well now you've got to play ping pong against people that have only ever done ping pong whilst you've done ping pong and trampolining.
Well, hold on. You know what? I feel like, we'll use this Olympics example. I feel like there is a time where, like, okay, say you're a long distance runner, okay? You're, like, the best 1500 meter, well, that's not long distance, but middle distance runner, right? You're the best 1500 meter runner out there, right? And you become an expert in it, okay? You are an expert in the 1500 meters. If anyone asks questions about how to run a 1500 meters and win, you're the man. You're the guy. You're the girl. Whatever. Okay. But surely, like, you can apply like a majority of that knowledge to, I don't know, the 800 meter. Like, it's not like some things can't be carried over. Like, yeah. I don't know. It's something to think about in my own time.
And it's like, sure, if you were playing ping pong on the trampoline, then you'd probably thrash them. But that's not an Olympic sport, right? So just one thing. Now, the other thing as well is a lot of people want to pick multiple niches because they think that, it's not big enough. The thing is niches are big enough and you don't need more than one. And I'm going to explain the math to prove it. So let's say, for example, there are 50,000 people in your niche and you want to make $100,000 a year. So let's say that you pick gyms, for example, right? Gyms in the United States and Canada, there's around 50, 60,000 of them at present. There might be more, might be less, but let's say there's 50,000 gyms. Now, you want to make 100K a year. So let's say that you need, 33 clients a year to do this. So let's say that your average, ticket is like $3,000, which is kind of, I'm going to show you how to charge thousands of dollars. Don't worry about that. But let's say that your average client is worth $3,000, which I know might sound too much, but trust me, people will pay you that if you give them something good, and we'll talk about that in future. But if you need 33 clients a year, then you need 0.066% of the market to get your goal. So if you're in a niche with 50,000 people and you want to make 100K a year, then you need less than 1% of 1% of the entire market to hit your goal. Trust me, you do not need multiple markets. Your goals will fit inside your niche. Okay? So, like, for example, if I want to make $1 million a month, which is kind of what I'm making right now, and there's 100,000 people in my market and each customer is worth $10,000, like, I don't need more than a few percent of that entire market to actually achieve my goals. Like, markets are incomprehendibly massive and your goals are incomprehendibly small in comparison to them. And this is why you don't need to worry about competition or people being better than you or doing better than you, or like this whole idea of a blue ocean strategy where you find a niche that nobody else is in. It's the dumbest strategy in the world. Like, the idea of like picking a niche that no competitors are in, that's just dumb. Because like competition is a sign of life. Like, imagine like being a fish and you're trying to pick which pond to live in. Like, you're going to want to pick a pond with some other fish in it. Because if there's a pond with no fish in it, it might be the case that fish just can't live in that pond because of the acidity or the oxygen level or something like that. Like, we're looking for signs of life when picking a niche and picking a market. And you never need to concern yourself with like the size of the market. Because like, for example, like when I had my gym agency, we competed with Gym Launch, which was the biggest business at the time. And Gym Launch had signed like 4,000 gyms and there were like 40,000 gyms. So they'd still only signed like, like 10% of the market. Like, even though they were the biggest, scariest competitor and they were miles ahead of us in terms of everything, they still didn't have more than 10% of the market under their thumb. 90% of gyms still hadn't worked with them. So it's like, even the biggest competitors, they're not as scary as you think. So now there might be a little bit of doubt and skepticism because, this might seem hypocritical because my company, Imperium Acquisition, has two niches. We have two niches. So we serve agency owners and we serve coaches and consultants. Now, to me, like, agency owners, coach consultants all fit into one thing because really all they're doing is, selling and, providing critical information to solve a problem. And the only difference is whether or not the agency owner does the work or the consultant teaches the thing, right? But, you could argue that this is two niches and that's fair enough. So, maybe I have two. But the only reason we have two is because A, they're extremely similar and hardly different. So this is the same thing as like you could work with gyms and yoga studios. Like they're so similar that they're basically in the same space, if that makes sense. Now don't make this mistake of you want to be more specific where you can. But the thing is, the reason we did this is I only worked with agency owners at the beginning. So for the first 2 years of this business, we only helped agency owners. We did not market to coaches and consultants at all. Not at all. I mean, it's only really been like the last year, I suppose, or 6 months, that we started doing this. And we scaled with agencies to 600K a month. So I got to the point where I was making $7 to $8 million a year just in the agency owner, the SMMA space. And the thing is there was nobody else that had ever got to this point, and there was nobody else that had ever gone beyond this point. And also we plateaued. Like the market just couldn't support anything beyond this. Like we had the YouTube channel was purely for SMMA. We had ads running, we had setters running, and like we just could not push beyond this. And it was purely because we kind of hit the limit and the cap of this market. So we were like, okay, well, we need to add another niche. And this is exactly what happened with like Amazon when they were selling books, is they were like, well, we're selling books to everyone that wants them. So Jeff was like, I can't really sell any more damn books. So let's start selling something else. And so that's why we did it. So I don't want you to think that, oh, Charlie's got two niches, so I should have two niches. Like the only reason I have two is because I literally cannot grow any further in one. And only when that happens do you add another niche. And that won't happen to you until you get to like 6, 7, 8 million a year. So you don't have to worry about it. So niche selection mistakes. So now that you understand the importance of niche selection and you should be able to gauge why you need to niche down, let's talk about some mistakes real quick that are very, very common that I see a lot, and you really want to avoid these because I'm going to show you how to pick a niche in a second, and if I don't call these mistakes out, then you're going to make them, okay? So the first mistake that people make when picking a niche is worrying about their skill or understanding. So here's the thing. Let me explain something to you. You are going to pick your niche and then mold and adapt yourself to the niche. What you do not want to do is adapt and mold your niche to you specifically, because it's not about you. When you're starting and building a business, it's about the market, and you need to learn how to adapt the market.
Okay, wait, that's fine, because I remember like a few streams ago, I was talking about what niche I'd go into, and I was thinking something in the fitness industry, or I don't know, coaching in like personal trainer or something like that. But yeah, no, that's kind of went out the window then, because yeah, I mean, if I'm molding myself to a niche, then I guess whatever I'm doing anyway, I'm going to be learning another niche. Like I won't pick a niche based off what I have then, based off what I know.
Or adapt yourself to the market, not the other way
Sorry if I explained that bad, but
around. Picking a niche based off of you would be like trying to design a new organism, like trying to design an environment, like an actual physical environment in nature around an organism. It's just not the way the world works, right? So if you think like, oh, like I am a professional video gamer and therefore I'm going to pick the gamer niche, right? Now that, I'm not saying the gamer niche is a bad niche, but let's just say that was a bad niche. And I'm not saying it is, but I'm just saying. Let's say that the gamer niche was ruthlessly, like, it was just terrible. It's probably not, to be honest, but let's just say it was a bad niche to pick, right? Now, you've now picked your niche and based all of your foundations around the restriction of your identity, which is not a good thing to do. Like, you want to pick a niche that you're interested in and passionate about and find interesting and have skills around. We're going to do that. But my point here is it's better to pick a niche and then adapt yourself to the niche instead of like picking yourself and then adapting the niche to yourself. Because the chances of you being able to pick a niche based off of yourself that's viable, you fundamentally restricted yourself to probably just a couple of things. And don't get me wrong, like you still want to pick a niche that interests you and everything, and we're going to do that. We are going to do that. But what I don't want to see people doing is worrying about their skill and understanding. So don't be discouraged to pick a niche that you think would be viable because you don't understand it yet or have the skills to help that niche yet. So there might be a niche that you've got in mind that seems really compelling and really interesting. And you're like, oh, this niche is just like, this thing just looks awesome. This group of people, like I'm really interested in them. But maybe you've never spoken to them before and you have no skill to help them. That doesn't make it a bad niche because you can develop the understanding and you can develop the skill. What we cannot develop in a niche is viability. The niche sets the conditions for the survival. It's like an environment. It sets the conditions for what the organism has to be. And you are the organism and the niche is the environment. And so if you're an organism and you stroll into an environment like a forest and you start demanding that the forest changes for your needs, you're going to die. It's just not going to work, right? So I'm going to show you exactly how to become an expert in no time flat. I'm going to show you how to understand your niche. I'm going to show you how to develop the skills to help your niche. So what I want to see you doing is picking your niche unencumbered by the fact that you don't know anything yet. Understanding and skills are easy to acquire. Market needs, desires, and problems are very hard to acquire, okay? So do not concern yourself with, when you're picking your niche or selecting your niche or thinking about niches, don't restrict that to just your skill set because it's probably not that big yet, okay? The next thing is worrying about competition. So please do not worry about the size or competence of your competitors. So a lot of people do this where they pick a niche and then before they actually pick the niche and decide, they start looking at the competitors and thinking oh, I can't compete with him and she's been running that for 3 years and God, they get amazing results. I can't do that. And people try and pick niches that have no competition in them, which is just so dumb. It's so stupid. The market is big enough for you if you become talented and can solve a problem. And you also have to realize that only a small percentage of your competitors are actually able to compete with you. And there might be 2,000 people in your niche competing with you for the same clients. But only 10% of them have more than 4 clients and only 2.5% of them are actually able to solve the problem. So I can tell you this to be true because when I got into the agency market at the beginning, same thing with the coaching consulting market. When I started Imperium Agency and I started the Imperium Agency business to help agency owners get clients and scale, I looked at some of the competition. I was like, holy shit, these guys are crushing it. These guys are making 400 or 500K a month, and they've got these extensive programs, these massive communities, and they've got 50 grand a month, 100 grand a month to spend on ads. How am I ever going to compete with them? Then I realized I was just being dumb because I was like, well, they probably all suck anyway. And, fast forward 3 years now, a lot of them have just quit. So, it's crazy what you can do with a short period of time if you become talented and focus on the product.
Wait, what if one of us became the next big info guy on the internet? Next big info consultant or whatever. That's not a joke, by the way. Someone's gonna come for Charlie's title.
You can, just because they look good and they have fancy good marketing, okay? And even then, if let's say you've got 3 competitors that are crushing it, they probably don't account for more than 10% of the market anyway. So you just do not need to worry about them, okay? Same thing with saturation. People are like, oh, I don't want to pick a saturated niche. I can tell you this, niches do not saturate, okay? The only possible way for a niche to saturate is if suddenly, overnight, every single member of that niche had their problem solved. For as long as there is a problem, saturation cannot exist, okay? Niches don't saturate, offers and client acquisition methods do. For as long as people have problems, there are opportunities for you to get clients by solving them. Saturation is only an issue when your business looks like all your competitors or when you have the same methods everyone's trying to get clients. So if you're using the exact same email scripts and the exact same offers, then you have a saturated acquisition system because you just look like everybody else. But when it comes to niche saturation, if there's a problem, you can always create value. Positioning is power and solves the problem of saturation. The next mistake that people make is copycatting. So you might think to yourself oh, Charlie started his first agency in the gym niche, so I'm going to pick the gym niche. That is just dumb. So stupid, right? Most people pick their niche based on monkey see, monkey do logic. It's like if someone doesn't know how to make a decision, like they kind of outsource it to someone else. And trust me, it's really not a good idea. Like this means that you look at every other niche everyone else is in, and then you pick that. Like, what niches are hot right now? What niches are popular? Oh, I know this guy I watched on YouTube is doing this in this niche, so I'm going to pick that. Like, you want to do your own critical analysis, which I'm going to show you how to do, your own critical analysis on the niches that you're interested in, that you have, some potential passion about. And then we're going to look at the viability. Like, niches work for individual people because of the people, if that makes sense. And what I mean by that is, like, there's going to be what would be really good for you as a niche might not be really good for another person, and that's going to depend on you and your skills and everything. So it's pretty important. A lot of people look to gurus and 997 course sellers, finding out what niche they're in and then picking that. Wrong. You should have selected a niche based on whether or not you're interested in it and whether or not it makes sense at the time. So I'm going to show you the best niche and the worst niche, and that you're probably excited about that. You're probably like, oh yeah, god damn, yeah, Charlie's going to give me the best niche. He's going to tell me what to pick, and I'm going to pick it. And you get excited by that. Of course you're going to be like, oh, this is amazing and blah blah blah. But like, newsflash, like, I'm not going to pick for you. I'm going to show you how to pick, and I'm going to show you what sort of niche is best for you and what niche is bad for you. Right? If I came in here, right? Imagine this. I don't know how many people are going to be in this program, but you can see on school. Let's say that we've got 50,000 people in here, right?
No way. The fuck? Damn. Fair play. What is it?
Do you ever feel like you're working hard but people don't respect you? Maybe you're constantly being overlooked.
No way. That's actually a huge win, man. Can I comment? Where can I comment? Let me comment. I don't know what to say. Good work, man. That's crazy. Fair play to you. Okay, wait, my nose is running. Let me get tissue really quick. Okay.
Right. Imagine I come in here on this niche video and I say, right, the best niche to pick is, let's just say niche A. Niche A is the best niche to pick. Well, suddenly you've got 50,000 people picking niche A, and then you've got more businesses trying to serve that niche than businesses exist in that niche. It's not going to work. And this is why, all of these popular niches and trending niches are bad. This happened with the agency space. I can give you some agency history here, where before I came on the scene with the with how to start an agency thing, the prevailing bias for all of the course sellers. So there was maybe 4 or 5 big course sellers that told people how to start agencies, and they'd sell these $1,000 courses, $2,000 courses on how to start an agency, and all of them said that e-commerce is the best niche. And so what we had is 4 people getting thousands of customers every year into the agency market, we had tens of thousands of agencies starting every single year in the e-com niche, in the e-commerce sort of like, how to sell stuff online niche. And like the e-com niche just completely disintegrated into chaos. Like everyone was doing the same thing. Everyone was in the same niche with the same scripts and the same offers, offering Facebook ads, offering CRO, which is conversion rate optimization. And like no one could get clients. Like it was complete hell. And so many people quit and gave up because the niche was too difficult. Now like the e-com niche has calmed down a bit and maybe it's viable. I'm not going to bias you. You can, if you want to pick it, you can pick it. But it's like that happened. And then like another thing happened where one guy came onto the scene, a YouTuber on SMMA. I don't think he's uploading anymore, but he came onto the scene and out of nowhere he became really popular. And he was in the med spa niche and he was showing people like, oh, this is how you do med spa marketing. And these are the ads I use. And I'm making like 20K a month doing med spa. And then like those videos got like, 50,000 views. And then suddenly you had like 5,000, 10,000 new people starting med spa agencies. Like when you copycat, when you want to because everyone wants, I can guarantee you that people in this program are still going to do this. Like there's people who are going to pick the gym niche because I did it. They're going to pick the consultant niche because I did it. Like, but trust me, do not, because the more like people are going to do that. And if you do, you're going to be in the same boat as them, which will be a way harder boat to row. So yeah, don't copycat. And then the next thing is thinking you're married. So a niche is kind of like a girlfriend, right? Or a boyfriend. It's not like a marriage. You're not stuck with this thing for life, okay? Yes, you want to stick with your niche, okay? And I'm not advocating that you pick a niche and then in 3 months' time, throw it out the window. But it's very important that you're not stuck with this for life, okay? Over time, your niche will gradually evolve. So I started working with general businesses. I worked with charities and double glazing companies and like restaurants and everything. Then I started gyms, then agencies, then consultants. Like you're going to be working in this niche for a few years, right? You maybe in the next 5 years, maybe the next 10 years, I don't know. And this niche is going to make you a millionaire. But it's unlikely you're going to have this business forever and you're just going to, do this one thing for the rest of your life. It's always going to be evolving. It's going to be changing. It's not going to be static. So you're going to pick a niche and you're going to stick to it for years to come. But hopefully, you've probably got another 50, 60, 70 years on this planet. And you're not married to this damn thing for the rest of your whole life, right? You're going to be in this game for another decade or whatever. And it's going to make you millions of dollars, but you want to stick to it. And then the biggest one is not actually making a decision. So a lot of people fall at the first hurdle, and you're probably not going to be one of them because we're going through this training where, people take too long to pick a niche. They don't pick, they become paralyzed by the options. They wait. They just it's better to pick a bad niche than to not pick a niche at all. And one interesting thought experiment that I've always told clients in the past is if you got me a list of 20 niches that were all viable, and you put them and you wrote them on sticky notes and you stuck the sticky notes on a wall. Okay, so you get 20 niches, you write them on these sticky notes, 20 different sticky notes, and you pin them all up all over this wall. If you blindfolded me and then gave me a dart and I threw that,
Bro, I was literally just about to say that.
Dart,
yeah, that's literally the only way to go about it. Put a blindfold on, throw a dart, and see what it.
And it hit one of the sticky notes, I could get any niche to probably $1 million a month, or $100,000 a month at least. Like, what matters is that you pick, not what you pick a lot of the time. Now, you want to pick a good one, and the reason people are indecisive is because they're afraid they're not going to pick a good one. But do not be indecisive. Do not take weeks. People sit on this stuff for weeks. You haven't got weeks. You're broke. You've got work to do. You can't move forward until you've done this. There's no point in going through the next videos and finding the problem and researching the niche and making an offer and pricing your services. We can't do that until we've done this. So we have to pick a niche. And the longer you wait, the longer you delay your success, and the more likely you are to quit and fail because you haven't seen any progress. So we need to pick quick. It's kind of like a three-piece phrase. It's like pick, quick, stick. What that means is pick quickly and then stick to the thing you've picked quickly, okay? So the next thing is booming niches. So the truth is that the market you're in will determine your success more than anything. And this isn't going to include your own talent, your own skill. It doesn't matter how good your mindset is or how talented you are or how skilled you are. if you're in a crappy niche that just sucks, like you're not gonna get anywhere. Like you just won't. Like, you know, let's say for example we have Jeff Bezos at our disposal,
I
founder
swear you just said that you can get any niche to $1 million a month.
of Amazon,
I don't know if you meant it like that, but maybe I took it in the wrong way.
one of the most talented entrepreneurs to have ever lived ever, right? Mentored by Sam Walton, probably going to be a trillionaire if he's not already, I don't know, hundreds of billions of dollars, but you know, well, maybe he won't be a trillionaire, but his company will be, right? Or is, I don't know. So take a really talented entrepreneur like Jeff. Now, if you put Jeff Bezos in a shrinking market, like let's say that you force Jeff to go into the newspaper market or the record stores market, or he has to run movie cinemas, like he'll make a good go of it and he'll probably make some money, but he's never going to amount to anything great or amazing. Because the market that Jeff Bezos picked is e-commerce. Hell, he kind of even created the market. Like Jeff Bezos found himself in the market that one of the, probably the fastest growing market in the world at the time was e-commerce. It just, internet booms, early 2000s, people were like, I can sell stuff online. Like this is probably, the e-commerce trend has probably been one of the biggest macroeconomic trends to have ever existed in the period of humanity, at least in the last couple of 100 years, right? And so Jeff Bezos, like the reason Amazon has become such a beast is because it was sat on such a brilliant market. The same thing is true with Tesla now. Like Tesla is sat on this electric car market, which is just, it's just massive trend, you know? Same thing with like social media and these Facebook, these businesses that have just blown up out of nowhere, like they're in incredible markets. And so, you know, if Jeff Bezos was like, I'm going to start Amazon, but it's going to be for like, it's going to be to sell newspapers, or it's going to be to sell physical CDs or DVDs, or it's going to be to sell cinema tickets, he might have made some money. To be to sell cinema tickets, he might have made some money, but nowhere near as much as Amazon. You know, the market determines the success more than the entrepreneur. So for example, let's say that, you know, you've got the bookstore niche. You know, well, Jeff Bezos sold books online. He saw it coming. Like imagine if he tried to do it like in person. Like in the future, most books are going to be replaced by ebooks. So I'd consider this a bad niche. Like it's just a matter of time before like bookstores start closing down because people are just reading Kindles and stuff. Not for a while because, you know, I still like good books and stuff, you know. But in due course, you know, as these generations come up with just screens, like hell, I mean, people might stop reading books. I don't know. Hopefully not. So you want to be in niches that are in thriving, growing, and industries that are positioned to expand in macroeconomic terms. So, you know, just a few examples of booming industries. You know, like an industry is an aggregate of, you know, that it's like a segment of the entire economic machine. And inside of industries, we have niches, as we know. And so, you know, I'm going to list a few booming industries, and there's hundreds more. Well, maybe not hundreds, but you know, there's a lot more. You know, there's a lot more industries. Do not think this is an extensive list. But, you know, like renewable energy, it's a booming niche. You know, the renewable energy niche is like, it's going crazy. So maybe one niche that you want to pick is like solar farms. I don't know. I don't, maybe you pick like, you know, wind turbine installation businesses and you help, you know, and you help them get government contracts in third world countries. And that's your niche. Like, I mean, you know, you can be like real damn specific, but what matters is that the niche is inside of an industry that is booming. Or healthcare, you know, maybe you decide that you want to become a consultant for, you know, children's nutrition who have scoliosis, and you want to target rich parents with kids that have scoliosis, and, you know, build a nutrition-based approach to reduce their pain. And so I'm pulling for straws. I don't even know if nutrition has an impact on scoliosis, but you get the point. What would matter is it's in a booming industry. Same thing with education, kind of the space that I'm in right now. Information technology. So, you know, like IT, like, you know, maybe you help IT companies get school contracts to provide schools with computers. You know, construction, maybe you help cement companies with like, you know, get cement contracts, or maybe you help cement companies source cheaper cement from third world countries. Like there's any number of niches, right? There are millions and millions and millions of niches and things that you can do, that you can find that fit you in these places. So e-commerce, AI and robotics, genetics, like Maybe, I don't know, I'm going to stop giving examples because it's just going to bias you, but you get the point. So cybersecurity, you know, this is another massive like niche that's developing at the moment, you know, real estate, virtual reality, transportation, biotech, for financial technology, electric vehicles, fitness, beverage.
Yo, I just wanted to say, not even because Charlie bigged it up or anything, but the renewable energy thing, that's kind of sick. Like, I don't know. I feel like that's such like a, like, what's the word where is that future proof maybe? It's like, you know, maybe a bad one would be like, yeah, like you said, books, because books are gonna go within the next like 30 years, no matter what. Well, not no matter what, but like, you know what I mean. They've been Books have been dying off since like basically since like the existence of social media and the internet. It's just, yeah, on the slow decline. But like renewable energy, bruh. Why would we ever not need renewable energy? It's like, yeah,
Production
I don't know. I'm really excited for this.
is a big one, like massive one at the moment. Food delivery, software engineering, direct retail, trucking, you know, this is another big one as well. Trucking. Maybe you create like a solution for like truckers on how to do something specific with their truck, you know, or you help trucking companies
My brother's actually a trucker. He drives Arctics all day, pretty much.
with like, you know, logistics or something. I don't know, it could be anything, right? Architectural engineering, military, travel, online gambling, pet care, farming, esports, and many more. Like this is no extensive list. You can probably triple, quadruple, pentuple this list and find 5 times more examples than this. So you want to find niches that exist in booming industries where possible, because a great entrepreneur in a bad market has little chance to succeed. Like Jeff Bezos in the cinema market, like he'll make a good go of it, but he has significantly less chance to succeed than if he's in like a space like, you know, like military or something. I mean, God, this thing's going crazy as well, right? Or if he's like in the esports niche, like it's growing, right? And a bad entrepreneur in a great market has more chance to succeed. So even if you suck, which is fine because you probably do because you've never done this before, like by picking a great market or a great niche, like you're giving yourself so much more chance. Like you really are. You're really like giving yourself an advantage. But then if you take a great entrepreneur and you put them in a great market, they will crush everything. Everything. Okay? And it does not matter how hard you row. It matters what boat you are in. And that's a quote from Warren Buffett. So, you know, you can, if you're in like a shitty little, you know, like a shitty little rowing boat that's got holes in it, that's got like broken oars and like is really heavy and just sucks, you can row as hard as you want. You can put, you know, 16 hours of rowing a day, back breaking, you can train, you can eat properly, you can sleep properly, you can row as hard as you can. But if you're in a boat that sucks, you're not going to get very far. But if you're in like a pristine carbon fiber, you know, like perfectly engineered, like aerodynamic boat with everything you could need, then you don't have to row that hard to make it go. But if you do row really hard and you put as much effort in as you would have put in the shitty boat, you're going to go really far. So the market's extremely important and it's imperative that you get it right. So So the market's extremely important and it's imperative that you get it right. So picking your niche. So basically, when you're picking your niche, there's really 3 things to consider, because how do we actually get into this? Because now you understand the importance of a niche, you understand the importance of picking one in the booming industry, you know the mistakes to avoid, and I'm just going to reread these mistakes.
How are we going for time? I got work tomorrow. I may go sleep now. 10 past 10. I got to be up for work tomorrow. I'll try to get a morning stream in. If not, yeah, it is what it is. Notes from day 15. Ugh.